Ah, yes. The dulcet tones of Go Your Own Way.
Love it.
Yep. And if you're in the area, guys, we've got a free concert coming up, put on by the city of Peabody, Go Your Own Way, on Sunday, August 11th, 6 to 8. We'll be over at Leather City Commons in Peabody. So come on over. Super fun. Bring a camp chair, bring a blanket, pack a picnic lunch or whatever. There's going to be a pizza truck there. There's going to be the ice cream man pulls up. There's a beer garden, like the whole thing. So come on down and enjoy. Yeah, for free. It's a free concert, so enjoy it. We're hoping for really good weather. For that, because we're definitely looking forward to getting out and playing for everybody. Yeah.
Yay.
And like a little microcosm of the band, and we're I have the trio, which is Hat Trick, and so the trio plus friends are playing in Rhode Island. We're going to be playing at a coffee house on a marina coming up 21st, actually, Sunday 21st. We're going to play in the afternoon for a very special person. It's a very special person to me and Kevin, Pat Riley. So we're going to be playing a show for Pat and friends, but like it's open to the public. But anyway, so getting out and about, enjoying playing music, definitely enjoying that right now. Music heals. So, and thinking about a lot of people that could use some healing and some downtime and some relaxation time. And hey, speaking of that, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, girl.
Yeah.
So
July 9th. It was a good day.
Indeed.
A lot of fun.
Indeed.
Feel like I celebrate all month long.
Yeah. Oh, please. Absolutely. Absolutely do. Are you kidding me? Like, celebrate as much as you can.
Yeah.
Right.
Good time.
So yeah. So anything, you had classes, you did.
We had some amazing classes. This has been a really great time. We had Kobe Michael come at the beginning of the month, and he was fantastic. I, over the weekend, had a workshop at the Zodiac Tea Room. I had actually two of them. We went over tea leaf readings and mediumship, and then last night we're going to be doing the monthly an open house at Zodiac, where we're actually offering 10-minute readings free for people who want to come in, have a glass of wine, and get to meet the psychics.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we're very appreciative of all of our customers. So it's a great time for people to come in and talk about. We were talking about the tarot and different cards, and we were having fun.
I love it. Speaking of the tarot, please do show me what you pulled for today, and what are we looking at this month?
Well, today, since the moon was, I think maybe it was yesterday, because I randomly pulled the Hermit card.
Again?
It was. And here we are. We're back with the Hermit.
Wow.
Well, I think this is a time before, like, things heat up next week with, I believe it's Mars and Taurus. I think it's time for everyone to have a little bit of self-reflection, contemplation, and maybe a little solitude. Maybe we need to withdraw from society to prepare for a very heated time that's coming up. You know, it's like, and we're also going to be having Mercury retrograde. So it's a time to get your shit together and really, maybe the knowledge you're seeking is a little bit more personal. When I get this, sometimes I really have to take a minute and really work on myself spiritually, and realize that spiritual journey you're on, it takes work. It's not just going to happen to you. He gets to be on the mountain and hold that lamp of light, and he gets to hold the knowledge because he did the work. What are you going to do for the work? Are you willing to step outside society and create new patterns in your day so you can grow? Okay. I love him. He's cloaked. But when I look at that hermit, I know he's somebody who he may travel at night. He walks through darkness, and he offers illumination to all who want to take a minute to look at it.
Yeah.
The crowds around him, he's unfeathered by it, And with a combination of looking at, the energy that Virgo brings, we're really taking a minute now to think about healing. And for me, all my Virgo people, they're healers. Their nature is to fix things and bring order. Okay. So with the combination of the two of them, I think it's powerful. It's powerful. So let's look at all of our teachers out there when we're looking at the hermit. Let's pay attention more to details, maybe information that people provide for you, directions, stuff like that. You don't want to be able to slip through the cracks of what matters. I mean, to me, the Hermit card is so much more deep. It's very, very complex and in growth, education, knowledge, and the work of getting that knowledge. You have to do the work. You have to climb the mountain. It's not coming to you. He's not going to come down. No, he's not going to come down and just smack you in the head with his lamp. You have to go up there and you have to get it. And sometimes you have to fight for it, and there's a struggle for it. You got to work for what you know.
Absolutely. And I feel like we need to, in general, value education at a much higher level than we do here in the States. Traveling will show you a lot. And if you get out there and travel and you go to other countries, you start to realize that some countries have other priorities. And, you look at the differences between the way certain things are valued. And I think overall, we need to have an idea of education being valuable. And we need to respect when we're hearing an informed opinion rather than an uninformed opinion. And one of the things that's coming up for me, seeing the hermit, is the idea that what is an expert? Who should we be looking to for guidance? And one of the things that's happening, I know, in the witchcraft world is AI. People are using AI to generate books, and they're taking basically books that have already been written by, authors, and they're just regurgitating, or whatever, and they're just churning out fake, fake name books, and they're sitting back and collecting money on somebody else's work, and AI is just, jumbling it up or whatever and spitting it back out again. And so know who it is that you're going to for knowledge. When you want to learn about anything, especially about something niche like witchcraft, get to know who the people are that you are actually following, or that you're purchasing books from, or whatever. Don't just assume that because this person, has sold X number of books, that that it's going to be a good book. Look at the author and see if that person exists prior to that book, because it could be a fake person.
What a disrespect to teachers.
Seriously.
Writers everywhere. pretend authors with fake names that are just plugged into a system. That is so sad.
Let me tell you something, if you pick up a book and you look at that author and that author doesn't have a profile somewhere on a publisher site, or that author has never been shown as presenting somewhere at events or, whatever, has never been featured anywhere, has never done a show like ours or, appeared on anybody's podcast or whatever, that's probably a fake author. If you can't find that author anywhere else but that book, that's probably a fake author. Because who is this person that's out there writing books, but they're not presenting anywhere? They don't do workshops. They don't speak about their book. They don't go on anywhere to promote their book. They're just a faceless nothing. And I wouldn't be surprised if AI isn't even generating fake profile pictures for these fake authors. So don't just go by if it has a picture. Actually see, who is this author's publisher? Where have they been featured? What makes them an expert in the subject? Why are they the ones writing about it? Because I can't tell you how many books out there are just fake authors, fake names, or like a conglomerate of editors that just throws stuff together and writes under a false name. And it's just, no.
It takes a lot to write a book, and it's literally ripping a part of yourself. It's like we call it giving birth. Those books we wrote, those are our babies. And I can't imagine someone trying to duplicate the hard work and effort. I mean, just the journey of being an author. All of you have written something. It's literally a part of yourself. It's something that comes from within. It's sharing your knowledge. It's that opportunity where you yourself, that we became the hermit. We're like, hey, this is what we got to offer. Come and learn with us. But to be duplicated, it is such a violation.
It really is. It really is. So, and learn how to trust your gut on these things too. If something seems off, it probably is. If it seems like that author isn't real, it's probably not. So, since we're talking about divination today, we're definitely going to talk about intuition. And so that's one thing that we need to rely more on, and we need to listen to that gut feeling when we get it. So in light of that, I'd like to talk about some crystals that I would love to recommend for people that are working with divination, trying to get better at listening to their gut and trying to do different forms of divination. So right out the gate, I know a bunch of people are going to know that I'm going to talk about clear quartz crystal. Here's a crystal ball. You want to talk about divination? Here's a form of divination right here, a crystal ball. So gazing into that crystal ball, you are actually trying to receive psychic information. You're trancing yourself out into a space, into a sort of a pathway in your mind where you are opening up to receive psychic information. Now, also along with that, you want to do a little bit of shielding and protection for yourself as well. So any of your protective stones that you feel really good about. Some people lean into obsidian. Other people swear by, I love tiger's eye for protection. Other people have, other favorite stones of protection. Your protection stones. We've talked about protection on the show before. So anything, but I will also say smoky, if you're going to use smoky quartz, that does have a layer. That's got a little layer of filter, right? And it's grounding, but it's not so grounding that you can't do psychic work with it. Now, hematite, something like hematite, that's super duper grounding. And if I were actually going to do psychic work, I would probably remove my hematite because that's a little bit too much grounding in in the real and the mundane for me to be able to really, go get out there with my mind. But Smoky is a light grounding and light protection, and also amazing for psychic work. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up amethyst. It is definitely on every single psychic's list in terms of stones they love to work with. Amazing for psychic power. This has vibration to the moon. And the moon is our planet of intuition and psychic ability. So also moonstones are amazing for psychic ability, especially when it comes to the wisdom. When it comes to the wisdom aspect of things, we want to tune into that lunar energy. That's going to help us deliver the wisdom, right? Also, another favorite of a lot of psychics. Here comes Lady A, lapis. Lapis, even though lapis has a lot of other things associated with it, winning in court, influence over people in high places, wealth, long-term wealth, investments, etc., generational wealth, and those sorts of things, legacy wealth. It also is amazing for intuition in the sense of imparting wisdom. And so being able to, for a psychic, to deliver the much needed wisdom to a client. Of course, in honor of lapis, I have had my nails done as lapis. Definitely looking for that wisdom. So highly, highly recommend. On a really high crown chakra type vibration, I love iolite. I have a client who says this is the only stone he has ever physically felt something from connecting with. I also have some friends out there that are big iolite lovers. I'm a Libra, so it just kind of goes without saying. This is a great stone for Libra, by the way. Shout out to Brian. I know he's an iolite lover as well. This has got a really high vibration. So it's like almost like a step up even from amethyst. And then all the mediums know what I'm going to say next. And I think Leanne knows, but labradorite. Labradorite. And this one is a beautiful blue. Where's my, there you go. It's hot. Sometimes it's hard for me to get there you go. To capture the beautiful labradorescence on camera. But labradorite, amazing for speaking with spirit, people that have crossed over. That's going to be incredible. It does have a layer of protection. A lot of times labradorite, it also has hypersthene running through it. It's that black kind of sparkly that you'll see in a lot of labradorite, and that's great for protection too. So labradorite, amazing for opening up the channel between the living and the dead. So not only will they hear you better, you'll hear them better. So labradorite, absolutely. And then one more that I'm going to say to definitely work with is celestite. So this is when you're working with the angels, when you're working with higher guides, working with the sort of outer spheres and anything planetary, working with those big planetary energies. Celestite is going to be the way to go. This is my beautiful, beautiful egg that I have. These are all from my personal, this is everything I'm showing you is from my personal collection. So absolutely. And you know what I love about it also? It just has the most calming and soothing energy. It's another one of those light blue stones that puts us into this, it just calms us down, which I so needed today. So it's like, yeah, reach for the celestite when you are working with, you want to work with those bigger spiritual energies. If you work with the angels and such. And, we could all use a little bit more guidance from our higher selves at this point. I think we've heard a lot from the lower, from the lower archives. Now let's hear from the higher selves. Let's be guided by our better angels going forward. I feel like those are the spirits that are going to get us to a place where we're looking at humanity from a higher level. And sometimes like you get into it with individuals and you're like, people. But then when you step back and you look at humanity from a greater level, then all of a sudden you realize, okay, everyone's just trying to do the best that they can. So have some compassion and, and try a little harder towards a little bit more, cooperation and harmony, so to make things go a little better. So those are the stones that I'd recommend for divination. I would definitely, if you're a tarot reader and you want to keep crystals on your table when you're reading, those are the stones that I would pack. In fact, when I was reading, doing a lot of readings, I always had a little pouch full of crystals on my table, always. And so those are some of the pieces. A couple of those are the pieces, like the lapis and the labradorite are actually from that bag. Other pieces that I showed you are larger because we're on a screen, so it's easier for me to show you bigger stuff. But definitely, highly recommend those crystals for all divination work. So, ta-da!
Yeah.
All right, now, how about the planetary forecast? How about the astro forecast? We definitely need to know what's happening. Speaking of the outer planets, okay, I'm going to cradle my beautiful egg here, and we got to get Tim SoaringWolf. Got to get Tim SoaringWolf out here to talk to us about the planets.
Great. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So an issue with volume, but yes, thank you for having me, guys. Great to see you again. Love the subject of divination, of course, and I love it because a lot for us that know what it's like to have these visions. A lot of us didn't ask for it, right? A lot of it has come to us. It's more of a calling. If we don't do the work, we get haunted. but we sense things, we see things, and so we most of us are called to do this and to help others through our abilities. And I am definitely one of those people who just went through a period of my life where a lot of weird things happen, and I hate to leave loopholes. I just started researching, trying to make sense of it. And now here I am, 12, 15 years later, doing readings for people and with astrology. Astrology is very mathematical and, in my opinion, very scientific, even though it's considered a pseudoscience because it's more of a belief than facts. But I do believe it can be proved, and even down to the exact minute, to the degree of a lot of things. So it does help to forecast many things, especially this year. This year is an eclipse year. We had the longest eclipse over the United States. So this was like a very powerful eclipse, like 4.5 minutes, when previous eclipse have been like 2 minutes. So it was like almost double some of the previous ones. So every year that there has been a major eclipse, we can go back in history and see that's also a major year of natural disasters and way crazy extreme weather, right? And we've already seen some of that, even going back to when the eclipse happened in April and the end of March. But this season, because of the year that we're in of extreme weather, I've gotten into what is called astrometeorology, which is actually predicting the actual weather with astrology. I looked back on the summer solstice chart, and I'm still learning, so I'm not making any of my predictions public, but I did notice in the summer solstice chart that the Pluto was right on the IC, which is the IC is very important in astrometeorology for the central time zone. The East Coast, I saw, according to that chart, storms moving away. So there will be rain, so maybe some tropical storms, but no hurricanes on the East Coast. The central time zone would be hit, though. And I thought automatically, okay, well, it makes sense. People have been talking about the warmer weather, hurricane in the Gulf. Got it, right? But I did not expect, in the central time zone, we also have the dam in Minnesota that broke, that had all the flooding, and Iowa,
oh God, yeah,
ravaged by the flooding and storms, and also in the central time zone. So I'm still, learning about. I'm actually learning about meteorology in general too. So, but combining that with astro forecast is amazing, not just for predicting the weather, but even personal things as well, right? So I love astrology. I've always said to love is the most powerful energy on this earth, and in order to love others, you got to love yourself. But in order to love yourself, you got to know yourself. And this astrological chart is the best way to do that, to really look at everything. But I love predicting the forecast, and I've gotten even more into history than before, because history is very tied to astrology, and this is how we can predict things too. But just by looking at the patterns, just by looking at the times of when this happened, planetary speaking, we can even predict what's going to happen this year. Example number 1, Jupiter in Gemini. So Jupiter is in Gemini, went into Gemini in the 5th. How many of you all have seen a huge increase in socializing the past month than maybe before May? You know, Jupiter in Gemini is all about getting out there, talking, meeting, socializing. I know I've been socializing a lot more than I have in the past. But Jupiter in Gemini can also lead to teaching, writing, communicating. We're seeing copying happening. People are copying other people, posting their posts word for word, because people are just so excited to share what they've learned. That's Gemini energy. Gemini is just, we'll learn something, regurgitate it, right? But another thing about Jupiter in Gemini, if we go back in history, social media, we're talking about socializing. Well, social media is a huge thing this year. And this is not just Jupiter and Gemini, but Jupiter and air signs particularly. You know, air is the sign or the element of the mind, communication, ideas. Tons of ideas are coming out for me personally. I'm sure other people as well. Make sure to be capitalizing, writing them down. There will be money to be made from some of these ideas you guys have. But if we go back and just look at Jupiter and the air signs, I'm talking about social media. 1997, I didn't even know this, was the very first social media platform. It was called 6 Degrees. I never heard of it, but it was in 1997. It was the very first one. And it was when Jupiter was in Aquarius. Aquarius, of course, is all about friendships, technology, computers, all that stuff, but it's also an air sign, right? Then we've got, I'm just going to go this really quickly here. Got to look at my notes here. But in the year of 2000, 2001 was when we had Jupiter in Gemini, which is what we have right now. Right after that time period, we had Friendsters, LinkedIn, MySpace, all launched. Then we have, Facebook actually started in February of 2024, but they started with their name calling it the Facebook. I don't know if you all remember that. They didn't really like that name. They changed it to just Facebook by August. That same time period, just a few weeks later, Jupiter went into Libra. Jupiter in Libra, I feel, really attributed to the success of Facebook. Jupiter, Libra is all about relationships, right? All about relationships, connecting with others, ruling the 7th house, also an air sign. So Jupiter in Libra, huge for social media. I'm going to get to that in another second here. But moving forward, Instagram, 2010, Jupiter in Aquarius. Snapchat started in 2011, but they started as a name called Peekaboo. And they had to change their name because of a cease and desist for another company that was using that name. So the next year, when Jupiter went into Gemini, was when they changed the name to Snapchat. Jupiter in Gemini.
Oh, Peekaboo. Okay.
2016, another huge social media platform, Jupiter in Libra, TikTok. TikTok launched, and that whole year, Jupiter was in Libra. By the end of that Jupiter in Libra, the following year, TikTok was known to be the most popular app downloaded in the United States in that year of October 2018. Then the next one, 2020, Jupiter in Aquarius. We had a social media platform called Clubhouse launch. Now we're in Jupiter in Gemini. So it's kind of easy prediction because we already know TikTok's going to be banned. TikTok's talking about coming back as a bigger platform, but it's going to include features of not just TikTok, but Facebook, Instagram, it's going to be like all of them combined. So that's an easy prediction to make because we know it's getting banned in September. So I predict in October, in the season of Libra, with Jupiter and Gemini, we will see a huge, probably a launch or right around that time. And it's going to be huge, in my opinion, because of this Jupiter and air. So we have that to look forward to, right? A new social media platform probably this year. But those are all predictions we can make based on history, based on the timing of stuff. So again, why I love astrology when it comes to prediction, because I hate to leave loopholes. You know, I used to do readings with cards, and I'm like, but astrology, cards, crystals, having things to double check things by is a great way to give even more accurate readings and divinations for your clients, right? So I love combination readings, looking at, things all match in multiple things, and it's pretty obvious what we need to do, right?
You know that my personal Jupiter is in Libra.
Nice. That's a great position
Eighth
for
house.
you as a Libra as well. Yeah. I've been learning a lot about Jupiter. I've even coming up with a report to try to calculate people's lucky days. And And the thing about this little experiment I've been doing for a while now is that I haven't just been predicting the days. I've been doing stuff on the days that for myself, and I'm seeing the results. So it's really cool, doing the experiments and seeing the results that they are happening. It just really reinforces astrology even more. But I started out as a skeptic, trying to prove it wrong. And the more I try to prove it wrong, the more I proved it right.
I love that.
I really was very
fantastic.
skeptical. I would go around to people and be like, "Oh, Sandra, you're a Libra. Are you, this, and this? Are you a peacemaker? Are you a person that loves to be with other people, loves to always include everyone? And I would just do things like that, and little by little, just proved everything right.
Exactly.
But it is a great thing, not just to learn about yourself, but about others. And I did want to talk about this month and what we have coming up as well.
Yeah.
We do have the full moon on the 21st, which is the second full moon in Capricorn this month. And there's a lot of cardinal energy this month, of course, with the season of Cancer. We are also in the middle between two eclipse seasons. The nodes or the eclipse seasons were Aries and Taurus, as we know, for the past 18 months or this past year. It will change soon. By the end of this year, it will go into Virgo and Libra. Virgo and Pisces. We are in Libra, Aries. But we're like right in the middle between those two eclipses. So there's been a lot of karmic energy this month. Saturn went retrograde this month. A lot of people looking at their destiny, their path of life. Is this where I'm meant to be? Is this where I'm supposed to be going? And having to break off, make decisions of like leaving the past behind, focusing on the future. Some may have a very specific choice of leaving something from the past behind in order to gain something from the future. But it is very karmic, tied to releasing the past, shooting towards the future. The most craziest or probably impactful transit people are talking about for this month is Monday, July 15th. Mars will conjunct with Uranus on that day. Mars is a malefic in the astrology world. He is not a nice guy. He's the god of war. He goes around starting fights, very competitive. He will fight for whatever he feels passionate about. So Mars isn't a good or seen as a beneficial energy in a lot of things, but he definitely does get things done. Even when it comes to fights, I have a fire moon, right? So fire energy, fire moons, we get very passionate, very angry sometimes. We release the Kraken, and then afterwards we're fine, because as quick as fire as can go, as quicker as it can go out, right? And Sandra, you're laughing, and I think it attributes to our air energy as well. As quick as the winds can change, we can get over things pretty quickly, But that fire is raging, and then everyone's like still recuperating from the damage, and we're like, what's wrong with everyone, That is the fire energy, fire signs. You got to be careful with that to let people catch up to you, getting over things. But yeah, that, fire energy, what I was, I lost my train of thought here. I apologize. But what I was talking about here with the destiny, of course, in this month, but coming up on this Mars energy. I'm sorry, getting back to that, Mars and Uranus. Uranus is all about freedom, liberation, knowledge. It even looks kind of like a satellite dish, the glyph. It is a higher octave of Mercury, which is a planet of communication and knowledge as well. But Uranus is a revolutionary of the zodiac. It rules Aquarius, so you Aquarians know about how to be a rebel and go against the flow. But Uranus actually spins like a ball. It's the one planet that does not spin like this. It goes like this. So it's even the physical characteristics make it very unique of all other planets. And so it is a symbol of the character of Uranus. It likes to change things up and change the direction of things, mostly focusing on humanity, freedom, and liberation, like Aquarians do, right? Aquarians are all about lifting up the group of the people for progress of humanity. So here's where we come into the conversation of politics happening this week. A lot of conversations about human rights, our liberties, our freedoms, Project 2025, Agenda 47, like all those things that are coming out is leading us to this energy of our freedoms possibly being threatened. And Mars conjoining that means that everybody is ready to fight back, ready to fight for our freedoms. So this energy will definitely be tied to that. If you are restricted or limited in any way, if your freedom is thwarted in any way, you will react very badly. Most likely, Taurus will be hit the most. The normally slow to anger, peace-loving signs will be very edgy this weekend, but all fixed signs in general may feel this energy, and it leads into Leo season, which is we got Mercury retrograde in August 3rd. So pretty much August 3rd, August 28th, the whole month of August, we're going to see Mercury retrograde, revisiting the past, revisiting even some of these themes right now. Whatever angers you on Monday, if you are not able to deal with it, expect to have it revisit in August, just because that is the theme we're in. We're in the shadow period of retrograde. So these 3 weeks of degrees we're traveling over, we're going to go right back over the same exact degrees and then go back over them one more time. So definitely revisiting a lot of these themes for these 3 weeks. So find Taurus in your chart. Find, if you can, the 26th degree. That is where it's happening specifically. And also think back to 2 years ago, August 1st, 2022. Maybe it was July or August. Was your life completely transformed, or was there an upheaval, something you was out of your control that came in? I know for me, there was definitely a huge thing like that where my life was completely like thrown upside down. But also that Mars Uranus landed right on top of my Mars sign. So this increased that malefic energy that made like just all of the negative come out all at one time, literally. This time around, I've got my Venus at 28 degrees of Taurus. So it's like getting very close to my Venus sign, and it is a completely different energy than 2 years ago. So it could be very, very different. This is why you need to look at those specific points, because 2 years ago, it was all about my Mars energy and combative energy and just fighting enemies, whatever, everything came out. And this time around, it's like the exact opposite energy. So I'm looking forward to this actually, because I've been planning for it and working towards it. But if you don't, you're the type of person that kind of goes with the flow, then be ready to have your flow disrupted on Monday.
Okay, staying at home. I asked you about that. I'm very concerned about Monday.
Yeah. And not to cause fear, like I hate being a doomsday astrologer. I do predict some things
something's going to go down.
Because something good is happening, Leanne, on Monday, right?
Yeah.
In your house.
My house. But it's with the Tauruses that I love.
Oh, okay.
Gemini
has good on Monday.
On Monday, he's got good, and it's completely transformative. It's like I woke up, he had no beard. It was crazy. Yeah, no, it's just like there's
what?
Yeah, he has to be fitted for a mask. It's adorable. And there's so much going down that's really great things. I'm really concerned of, like, listen, I'm going to just say, I won't make, like you said, I have to let freedom reign. I promised you, Tim, with my heart, I'm not going to make any plans. I'm not going to make dinner arrangements. There's nothing you need to do for the next couple of weeks. Whatever you want, whatever, you go do it. Go have a good time.
You couldn't have said it better. Like, let freedom reign.
Uranus is all about, you go.
And also about surprises. I'm so glad you said spontaneity, because Uranus is about surprises. So thank you for saying that. I did not say that, but be prepared for your plans to change as well. Be prepared for surprises and
good surprises. Surprise, right?
Yeah. Because we're talking about Mars energy, some of the changes could be because of men. So just putting it out there. Might not actually be the women making the changes, but we do have men right now, especially Tauruses, maybe doing some drastic changes. Like you just mentioned, shaving off a beard, that's a pretty big change.
Yeah, it was just great. It's great stuff. We're getting all the stuff done that we need to. I just want everybody to be freaking happy. Be happy, people, no matter where the planets are. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And you've talked about the Hermit and reflection this week, and Venus actually has been preparing us for what's to come next week, because Venus has already touched Uranus earlier, then Neptune. Now she's heading towards another conjunction with Pluto, I believe, is today. So it's like all of these outer planets is about digging deep, looking more instead of the material, superficial, looking inside. So hopefully this week has been a week of doing some of that, or even do it this weekend. Like Leanne said, meditate, find out what you need.
Yeah,
There's
a little bit of self-reflection.
I feel compelled to pull a card for Monday.
Let's do it.
I feel compelled.
We're talking about divination. Let's see what the cards say.
I just feel compelled. Okay. What card will guide us in our approach to Monday? Okay. I've got to tell you, I saw this card right before I started shuffling, and I was like, ooh, I hope I pull that.
I didn't see it.
The moon. Wow.
Okay, the moon on Monday. So I love the artwork on these. I mean, these are just, I love the artwork on these.
So whenever the moon card comes out, I always like to see what phase the moon is. So on Monday, the moon is in Scorpio.
Okay, so that's a lot of like maybe things that are hidden, navigating through the unknown, like
passion,
something new,
right?
Passion, courage. Mars is not just about being mad; it's about courage too.
Boldness.
But the moon card is also usually a warning card. To pay attention to what's normally hidden in the dark. And to look to bring it into the light. So I feel like we've got an opportunity coming on Monday. If there's some stuff you've been sweeping under the rug, it's not going to stay under the rug. If you've been trying to keep something hidden, it will be revealed. So choose to be the one to reveal it rather than have it revealed for you by the universe. Right? I mean, this is advice I've given before in my life.
I think it matches perfectly. The mental energy that will be there. I also feel there will be revelations, answers to questions we might have had mentally. There's a lot of mental pressure, so we have to also ground ourselves, get out, touch grass, hug a tree. But that card is perfect about, the moon will be in Scorpio, hidden things revealed. That really, and that card not just reminded me of what the moon, which we saw with the moon in Scorpio, but I think there will be also answers to questions and illumination in other ways as well. But
I sat here with the crystals and literally talked about how crystals that correspond to the moon are some of the best ones to have around you when you're doing psychic work, because that's the planet that's, and yes, Neptune is also very associated with psychic abilities and psychic work. But, of the closer planets, the moon is the one that's talking to us about the wisdom that comes through that psychic information. Because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
When we receive that, the information, that helps us make wise choices. What were you about to say?
I was just going to mention, just came to me that the moon, yes, does represent the divine feminine. And what did I say? Who was going to be causing the problems? The men, right?
Men are going to be causing some bullshit.
So this is a time to tap into our divine feminine. We do also all have masculine and feminine. I actually just had a conversation with a girl who was really bewildered by the fact that the moon was my ruler, my chart. Like, how do you stay so connected? Well, it is. I'm a Cancer ascendant, so the moon is the ruler of my chart. I was born in the full moon phase, and the moon was exactly conjunct Neptune. So all of that moon, Neptune, full moon energy, having a Cancer ascendant, I attribute all of my psychic abilities to my moon, and that moon prevalence in my chart, my dreams. I'm a dream interpreter, all of that stuff. So absolutely tap into those things, your intuition, your dreams. We'll put the divine feminine, but love it. Absolutely matches everything.
Also, it's a good time really to work out the shit you haven't. If you have any kind of repressed trauma, stuff you've been going through, stuff that you're not dealing with, it may be a time to look at the things that make you anxious, that make you afraid, and really release them, to dig into your subconscious and maybe do some serious meditation. Maybe you can work out some maybe past life trauma, stuff from when you were younger, things that made you angry. We have people in our lives who trigger us daily. Then we shove it. We stick it, as Sandra says, under the carpet. Oh, you bothered me, under the carpet. Maybe it's okay to blow your top every once in a while. I honestly think that's what's going to happen. Men are going to do stupid stuff, and Sandra and I can be like, rah!
I remember what I was saying earlier about the fire moon is that I always say when fights happen, it doesn't always mean necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion, because to me, it's worse to hold it all in. And at least it's out in the open now. At least it's released. Now you can actually work on it versus holding it all in. But definitely predict that definitely could be happening. At least if it's out, then you'll be able to work on it. But you pulled the card, Sandra. The moon said it.
My man just delivered me a decaf iced coffee from Dunkin', made my way. I think he's getting on this early to get on the good foot.
Smart man. Yeah, you know what?
I think he's trying to be like getting out ahead of Monday. Like, I'm not going to be the one causing the shit. He's I'm a good boy.
Fix signs, just watch your anger a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely about it's okay. Gonna be moving people out of their comfort zone for sure. Tying into the moon. The moon is associated with our past, like you said, Leanne, trauma, things from our subconscious, things that we thought were buried, that we thought we were already healed from. It could suddenly explode because of all that energy of trying to push it down, and now here comes Mars and Uranus blowing everything up. So
don't say Uranus blowing everything up.
Sorry, Uranus. I need to pronounce say that. Yeah, we had to throw in a Uranus joke there. Uranus is big.
Listen, and full of gas. I sat quiet when you said Venus was touching Uranus. All right, but if you're gonna say Uranus is blowing everything up, okay, that's a bridge too far for me. Okay.
That's hilarious.
That's so good. That made my day.
So unfortunately,
he's the butt of all jokes.
Unfortunately, Rosie is not able to make it to the show today. But I have been using these cards. The artwork is from Hans Arnold. He is the artist that did ABBA's Greatest Hits album cover. Yeah, he's a pretty awesome artist. Unfortunately, we lost him in this realm. Oh my God. All of a sudden, like we lost Tim.
Tim, come back.
I don't know where Tim is, but he'll come back in a minute, hopefully. So anyway, we lost him. Earthside, we lost him in 2010, but we still have his beautiful artwork to enjoy. And so, I have been working with his cards. I've been working with these cards that he drew the lovely images of. That's a different Two of Swords, wouldn't you say? I mean, I just absolutely incredible. I can't show you that one. I don't want to get shut down. Anyway, so like here's
beautiful, powerful
Prince of Wands. Right? Really cool. Really, really, really cool. I love. Oh, look at this Nine of Cups. This Nine of Cups.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, I love her. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Like this deck, I'm having so much fun working with this deck. So I've been working with the deck for a while. I really wish we could talk to Rosie. Perhaps we can, schedule her at some point in the future. But I want to talk a little bit about how we choose the right tarot deck, because I really did want to talk about tarot today. Leanne, how did you decide first of all, what's your favorite deck to use, and
Okay.
how did it become your favorite?
All right. My very first tarot deck was gifted to me by my mother. Everyone knows the story. She just shoved it in my Easter basket. Strange, but that's my mom. And my very favorite tarot deck. It's funny how I fell in love with it. It's something that both Sandra and I have read off of. It's the Robin Wood deck. There is a card. There's the Magician, and it's one of the wand cards. And he's hot. He's hot. I wanted to date him. I wanted to date the Magician in the Robin Wood deck. And I had a thing for him. And I may have done magic around it to kind of draw that type of person in my life at one time.
Okay.
Who shaved his beard.
Who just shaved his beard?
That's funny. But yeah, no, that's literally, I know that's ridiculous. I have other, favorites now. But when I was very first starting,
yeah,
I just like the pictures.
I still read off that deck.
Yeah, I didn't have a big.
I still read.
Yeah, I have this intellectual moment of why. I mean, Rider-Waite for me will always be a go-to. I have so many decks now; it's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I have quite a collection myself.
And the one, my go-to will always be Robin Wood, because it gives me warm, fuzzy feelings when I look at the artwork. And to me, the imagery and the art, she's fantastic. And I believe we lost her too. I heard she passed away. So yeah, and I love it. And anyone out there looking for a deck, it has to empower you. So you have to like the artwork. It doesn't matter. Yeah, and you have to look at it and love it.
I'm very partial. When Pamela Coleman Smith decided that she was going to illustrate all the pips, I'm very partial to decks that actually follow the symbolism of those super highly symbolic, minor arcana. So I'm not a big fan if you give me a deck and the 3 of swords is just like 3 swords.
Yep.
And the 4 is 4 swords. I don't love that. I'm not in love with that. I love all the rich symbolism, because sometimes I anchor concepts for clients in those symbols so that they remember that reading when they go out in the world. And so I will call attention to certain things on the cards to remind them of information that I'm giving them. And so, because people are very visual creatures, most people are visual creatures. And that's why I think the highly illustrated cards really work for sighted people.
I love that. Yeah. And have you experienced this, Sandra, where you could be doing the same card for a different person, but a different symbol just lights up so different parts of the card really stand. That happens to me all the time. I love the same thing as you. Yeah.
Leanne and I went up to we did an event for Royal up in Vermont. We did a corporate event, and it had multiple tents with activities and things under all these different, it was like an outdoor, roaming thing. It had all this stuff to do. I can't remember the corporation that was putting it on for their employees, but there were like, what, maybe, Leanne, like 200 people there?
It was huge. It was fantastic. Huge. Yeah.
So we were rambling and pulling cards for people. We were hired to basically read, randomly, like go around and pull cards and, So there was literally, there was like a little table a little high top table, and 3 people, came up. And the first person, I read the card a certain way. And then when I shuffled everything back in the deck and pulled 3 cards for the next person, that same card was there. But I knew it was for a completely different reason. And I knew I needed to say a completely different thing to her. And so she goes, "Well, wait a minute. They just got that and you didn't say that." And I go, "I know, because that's not what that person needed to hear. This is what you need to hear from this." And so it's like, can you buy your first tarot deck and literally just open the little book that comes with it and do a reading for either yourself or somebody else? Yes. Is it going to be at the level that somebody that's been doing this a long time and is listening more? We're getting clued in by things that are on the cards, but we're also listening more to what we're supposed to deliver to you particularly. That's what sets apart going to an actual professional psychic from sitting down with your friend that just bought her first deck and having her just read you things out of the book. Mm-hmm. It's not the same, because eventually you move away from the book entirely and you never look at it again. And it lives in the box that the cards came in. And you've never picked it up again in your life, because you get a brand new deck and you don't look at that book either. Because it's like you just start to form a relationship with the archetype that is the head of that card. Mm-hmm. And so I can look at these cards and I can still see the images in the Pamela Coleman Smith version of, you know what I mean? Like there's kind of like a hierarchy of symbolism that even if it's not on, even if this artist decided not to pick up on that, I'm still going to call it forth if that person needs to hear that piece of information that I associate with the card. And the trigger that reminds me is that little black cat in the corner down under the Queen of, down under the Queen of Wands. She's there. She's probably not in this deck, but she's there in my mind. So it's like, I'm always going to call forth something that I'm remembering, and I'm going to be like, yes, and I need to say this too, if I hear it that way in my head. Mm-hmm. Leanne, do you get that too?
Absolutely. Because sometimes I read off of different decks. You'll see me reading off of the Tarot of the Old Path. I love that deck. I love the watercolor kind of feel. And they there's a lot that does follow right away. But you feel that with the minute you were saying little black cat, you
can see it.
I saw her. It's great.
I think tarot, some people are intimidated by tarot. Sometimes it's because they've seen something in a Hollywood movie or whatever. Other times it's because they're like, how am I going to memorize, 78 different things that I'm supposed to, memorize?
That's me.
But you develop a relationship over time. And if you approach it that way, then it becomes a lot easier, because once you start looking at, instead of looking at 78 individual cards, when you start looking at the journey, because each of those suits is a journey and the majors is a journey. And once you're looking at that, there's a journey that runs through all 4 of those suits that is the aces indicate something, but when the ace is expressed through swords, it's different than when it's expressed as cups, but yet it's still the ace. So the ace has a meaning, like when a planet moves into a different house. You learn the meaning of the planet, and then you learn how it's expressed when it's in these different houses. So once you start learning that, you know, the court cards all have like an identity, but they express it differently in each of the suits. And once you learn that, you know, the ace through 10 always has like the same kind of journey. And in some suits, it's worse than others, right? Just like in some planets, you're like, oh, Mars is kind of a bad guy, even though he gets shit done. It's sort of that way too. Swords can have that energy in the tarot. Like, oh God, the swords, you know, because the 9 of Cups looks great and the 9 of Swords looks like crap. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I get it. But still at its core, there's a message there that runs through. You know what I mean? So like the 6s are a sweet spot in the tarot. And I always am reminded of the sextile in astrology. And I'm like, the sextile is a sweet spot in astrology. And isn't it funny that the 6s are a sweet spot in the tarot? You know what I mean? It's like, it's.
Yes, I love the astrology. Me and Leanne were just talking right before about how, well, my cards are like oracle cards that I've always worked with. They actually came to me by accident. I didn't even know what I was ordering. I thought I was ordering a book about Celtic messages because I'm half Irish. Ended up being 52 cards and a little book explaining how to use them. So they sat on my shelf for about 6 months because, you know, I was always leery. But little by little, I started getting into it. But now the tarot I'm learning is partly because of astrology. As I'm learning a tarot, I'm seeing astrology stuff, and I was like, oh, it clicks for me. It makes sense. And then Leanne mentioned the opposite, how she's learning astrology through the tarot because she's an expert tarot reader.
Right? So it's backwards.
It's awesome. But yeah, it's all connected. Numerology, astrology, tarot. I love seeing the repeating patterns through everything. It really does show that there is a invisible thread connecting all of us and all of these things if we just listen, right? Just pay attention.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
There's so many different forms of divination that people can explore as well. I mean, tarot being my favorite, but we've also talked about, you know, we're here for tea. You know, it's the Psychic Teas.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
tea leaf reading.
So if you don't enjoy tarot and you don't enjoy astrology, well, maybe you like to scry. Maybe you like,
right?
I don't know, looking at
maybe
dream interpretation.
Dream interpretation.
Crystal.
Maybe you like to work with the crystal skulls.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
This is my first crystal skull that I ever worked with.
That's
He's
beautiful.
A smoky.
That's a smoky. I was going to say that looks
smoky.
amazing.
Yeah, he's lovely.
The first one. He's got a rainbow right up in his third eye.
Wow.
See that?
Yeah, you can see it. That's cool.
This is the first one that I ever got and worked with. And it's been an amazing journey. If you know me, then you know that I have an entire council that I'm sitting in the room with I have my entire council of skulls. Yeah, that's a whole nother method of divination. Leanne and I talk about it in Awakening the Crystals. There is a whole chapter on how to work with the crystal skulls, how to activate your crystal skull, and how to, you know, what kinds of divination you might do with crystal skulls. Sometimes a crystal skull has a resident spirit, and sometimes it doesn't. It's an empty shell, like a gateway, that you can call a spirit into. And so sometimes it has a personality already when you get it, and it will tell you. If you activate it, it will tell you. And other times it's waiting for you to, you know, kind of call something in. And there are skulls that you might not, they might be more like a rental than an ownership situation. So think of it almost like, you know, how certain crustaceans like adopt a shell and then that shell might not hold them anymore, and then they discard it and they get a new one, and then a different one goes into that shell. You know what I mean? So there are times where you can use, like a psychic might put a crystal skull on their table and call other people's beloved dead into it to talk, because these are talkers. They're made to be talkers. I mean, they look like us for a reason, right? They look like us for a reason. They're meant to communicate with us. That's why we give them eyes and mouths and stuff, you know? So, I mean, what's the difference between that and this, right? It's easier for me as a human to visualize talking to something that looks like it's about to talk back to me than to sit and talk to an egg, right? So when we get these carvings and when these stones basically tell people, like, I'm supposed to look like a skull, carve me into a skull, I'm a talker, you know, I'm a crystal that wants to communicate. That's, you know, part of that is for a psychic to be able to, through their divination capabilities, to be able to say, okay, this skull is here to help me call your people through it so I can communicate with them better. That's part of why you might see a crystal skull on a psychic's table, because they might leave that skull empty. They don't have a resident spirit in that skull. They're calling a spirit into it. Or another reason you might see a crystal skull on a psychic's table is it has a resident spirit in it that helps them go get and fetch the spirit they're looking to talk to and help them communicate, because they're like, I can talk to this skull and this skull can talk to your person. And so I'm getting the message through my spirit guide in the skull is talking to your person. So there's like two different methods there that somebody might use. And so if you go to a psychic and see a skull on their table, don't be scared. It's not something that you should be afraid of, like, ooh, they're ooky spooky, gothy. What I mean, they might be, I suppose, but it's not. Don't assume that it's there for the aesthetic. It may be a working tool. It may be.
Awesome. I did not actually know that. So these can be great for mediumships then, or mediums in general, specifically. Yeah. Exactly.
So that the skulls can help in a number of different ways, you know, and many of these crystal skulls, over the course of the time that we've been fascinated by them, they have proven to be, you know, they deliver information. That's a part of what they're here for. Some have been rumored to be help with health or, you know, other types of things. But for the most part, they are believed to be like carriers of information. Yes, there's been a lot of, you know, oh, it's unlucky and the owner, you know, this person got the skull and then they died, and then this person got the skull and they died, whatever. People die. That's what happens. That's life. Somebody's going to inherit that skull when that person's gone. So yes, I'm sure that skull has passed through hands. If it's that old, then it's passed through people and people are going to die. It doesn't mean the skull is bad luck. You know what I mean? It's just like the death card in the tarot. It doesn't mean if you get it in your reading, it doesn't mean someone's about to die, you know? So that's another thing that people think is awfully scary. It's not necessarily really supposed to be scary, although I will say a lot of people are afraid of change, and therefore the death card is scary for them. Do you have a lot of people, Leanne, you obviously read for a lot of people that have never gotten a reading before, right?
Yes, tons. And
do they get worried about the death card?
Things I say to them before we even start, I say, I know that this imagery, it might be scary. You might see images of death. You might see naked people. You might see different things that really challenge your brain. But that's the purpose of a reading. It's to challenge you.
Yep.
It's supposed to, though that artwork is supposed to do something. It's supposed to jar your mind and make you think different. It's supposed to open up your subconscious and allow you to learn and grow, like the hermit wants to clear the hell out of you so you'll mature into something bigger and something better. But yeah, there are people terrified of these things. They're terrified of touching the deck. They're terrified of not touching the deck. They're terrified when a card drops. It's just something that they're not familiar with.
Yeah.
Not a familiar experience.
Yep.
But all these things are supposed to help us grow.
In general, humans fear the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what repeatedly is proven is that there's plenty in the known that they actually should be concerned about, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, they choose to obsess over the unknown.
That's because people love their habits. So what they are is they're not. People are comfortable
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in their habits.
Yep.
And when that happens to you, become complacent and you never grow. Just die. That's the death card.
Yeah.
It's the lack of change.
Yep. And the devil card is also being strapped to your bad habits and strapped to what you know, but is not serving you. It's the devil you know, right? So it's like the people that are in chains at the feet of the devil on the card, they're chained to their, their debt. They're chained to their bad habits that are causing them bad health. They're chained to people that don't have their best interest at heart.
But aren't those chains kind of loose, big enough to remove them themselves if they really, really wanted to?
You really want to go? I don't know. I don't know.
Eight of Swords. She's like blindfolded. She's trapped. But there's a clear path out of the swords, very visible. She's just not willing to look at it. And there's something that I used to say a lot when I found myself in those types of situations. And I'm going to say, we need to listen to the red flags within ourselves. Yes, there are red flags that we see of other people's behavior, but we need to learn when a red flag is telling us something inside. That's our intuition. That's our own personal divination. And when I would hear myself talk about something that was going on in my life, and I would hear myself go, I don't know. And I would talk about it more and go, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Always what I wound up realizing is, no, you do know. You just don't want to know. You know that you have to choose between two things that you don't like your choices. But something's got to give. And whenever I would be like, yeah, I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, no, you do know. You're blind. You're doing the 8 of Swords blindfold. You don't want to admit what has to change here because you don't like the choices. So you're ready to stay the Hanged Man. You're ready to stay right where you are rather than take a step forward, because you don't like what it's going to mean once you do. But you also don't know everything that's going to happen once you do. And so part of it is that fear of the unknown and saying, okay, if I break out of these chains, if I break out of this cage, what will happen to me? And oh my God, what if it's worse? What if it's worse? But it never is. As somebody that's walked out of the chains multiple times in life, it never is.
Mm-hmm.
It's always better. It's just
great.
scary. It's just scary.
And like in my story, my cards that I got sat on my shelf for 6 months, literally, because I was always taught to stay away from that stuff. But we are magical beings, all of us. We are all intuitive beings. I'm seeing more and more that this is finding that balance between both the conscious and the subconscious is how we truly find balance. So I've just come to the conclusion that those who try to create that is really trying to create a division within you to not trust yourself. And it's all about control in a lot of situations as well. You know, with religion.
Thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate your comment. I'm seeing Caitlin's comment. Thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate your comment.
Oh.
Thumbs up. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, and it's once you free yourself from that, it is empowering. And the people that are fighting you from doing it are the people that are benefiting from you not doing it.
Absolutely.
So whenever you're trying to move toward that freedom,
empowerment,
and you've got somebody in your sphere that is not supporting that, look at how they are benefiting from you remaining in those chains. Because that's what's going on. And they're going to gaslight the hell out of you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's what's going on. Because they want you right where you are. Right where you are is comfortable for them.
And ultimately,
it's not comfortable for you.
Sandra, you hit it on the head, in my opinion. The benefit and the biggest blessing of divination is empowerment, to become fully ourselves, fully balanced on both sides of our mind, and to have that balanced connection with the divine. You know, we all have a piece of divinity within us. If we are all made in the image, right? All of us have that connection within us, that invisible thread. And so why do we want to shut that off? I never want to shut it off ever again.
Yay. Good.
Be empowering yourself to look and prepare for your own future. That's what divination's all about. It's getting your toolbox all sorted and being the magician. It's getting prepared. And that's all it is. It's preparation. It's more than a map. I read somewhere they referred, I believe whether it was astrology, it was any form of divination, not just being a map, but a mirror to look at yourself.
Yep.
That's great.
Look at you. Look at you. And I wish I knew where I saw it, because I would quote them and give them and not be a copycat.
And I just have to say also, the concept for me is to empower everybody around me. Anybody that I can reach. The concept for me is to help that person set themselves free from the chains, right? So help that person see, like, hey, here's what is holding you back from your true happiness. Here's what's holding you back from those dreams you have that you, for some reason, think you can't achieve them. You can, you know, and here's how you can start working towards that. And if somebody is looking for power over other people, that's when I'm getting nervous, because what we should be doing is empowering everybody, not looking to be power over other people. I feel like if people were empowered to make choices in their lives, if people were empowered to do the things that make them happy, if people were empowered to achieve their dreams and be the things that they really want to see themselves being in the one life we know we get, then how is it not that everyone here would be happier and this would be a better place to be? How is it not that? And so I don't want somebody that wants to take the reins away from everybody else and be like, I'm running this show and what I say goes and everybody's going to do what I say. I'm looking for the person that's going to be like, here's how we all rise up. Here's how we all stand up together. Here's how we all achieve this. And I don't understand how that got turned into a political statement. Quite frankly, I don't even understand how that's a religious statement. That's a human statement. Period. Yes. That's a human statement. That's it. That doesn't have to be political. That doesn't have to be religious. That doesn't have to fall into any of the boxes that are created for us to plunk ourselves into. That is just what we are here to experience. We are here to be a human being. That's it.
Mhm.
So be, it's like, doesn't have to be political, doesn't have to be religious. It just is, So what does divination do? Divination gives us, we've said it gives us a map. We've said it gives us a mirror. So witches use divination for a number of different reasons. We want to forecast things. So we might use tools that help us forecast favorable times for doing things. We might use divination to look at specific things going on in our lives right now and say, how should I be approaching this situation? What could help me in this situation? What don't I know about this situation that I need to learn to better respond to this situation? How can I treat this person in such a way that it's better for both of us? If you're in a relationship, if you're in a job situation, whatever, you've got family that you're arguing with, or you've got, challenges in whatever, you can delve into divination to try to help you decide how you're going to step forward in that situation. What are you going to do? And it also helps us look at our past and where we've come from, because most readings, most really comprehensive readings will give you a look at the root of the issue. If you're discussing a situation or an issue, it's going to also say, well, here's where this started. Here's the root. Here's where this is, kind of coming from. And that can help you too. And looking at the past or talking to the people of the past, talking to the people that are not physically present right now, but are an important part of your past. What are some other things that we use divination for? Anybody got?
Well, you covered. We talked about empowerment, balance.
All of it. Talk to those people who've died. A whole bunch of divination peers into the future and the past.
Sometimes it's closure, right? Trying to figure out, like, is this really the end? Is this something I need to pursue? And I like to say also that, we have all these tools, all these spirits, all these energy signs all around us all the time. Like you said, Sandra, with the 8 of Swords, you just got to remove the blindfold, be open to those energies, because there are spirits and angels and even our ancestors that want to see us succeed and help us. So tapping into that energy is going to empower you. It's not going to diminish you or, decrease your power. But like you mentioned, Sandra, the people that want to control and power, I mean, we're coming up on this fixed sign energy on Monday with the Taurus. That's going to be an issue for those types of people. And to me, in my opinion, it stems from the opposite. It stems from insecurity. Something in their life is not secure, and therefore they're projecting an over secure, trying to control other situations. So we'll see. Like Leanne said, we just let freedom reign this weekend.
There you go.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, we will. We absolutely will. But I love getting a reading because I feel like it helps me assess right where I'm at. It helps to, frame up what is it that are what I think my priorities are. Maybe it helps adjust those priorities. Maybe it makes me look at something that I was, putting on a back burner. Maybe it's bringing that forward and saying, don't put this on the back burner. There's so many things that I can get clarity. It can reinforce what I already feel. So it gives me, it's validating sometimes to have someone who knows nothing about your life sitting across from you and saying something that you go, yep, that's what I thought too, And so it can function in a number of different ways. Thanks, Ari. Thank you, Ari. So, there are so many different, no kidding. There are so many different, there are so many different reasons for somebody to seek out a reading. And Leanne, that was one of the big things that you did when we went over to England.
Yeah.
You got an amazing reading at the Goddess.
Yep, I got. Well, I didn't get a reading. I got a past life
Impression.
It
Okay.
Was,
some people still consider that a reading, but I get it.
You got really talked about the story of all of you in my life. It was great.
That sounds great. I want to get one of those one day. Absolutely.
Yeah, you absolutely should.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I've been regressed a couple of times, and it has always delivered an important piece of information to me, and it's made sense of something in my current life. It's made something make sense.
Yeah, when I was first starting to getting to doing cards, I was in a very stressful situation, experiencing my Saturn's return. So if you guys can remember your age 30, Saturn's return is not a happy year, right? But all of these things breaking down and crumbling in my life, I needed something to help me through, to figure out what was I supposed to be doing, what was happening next. And literally, I just started doing readings for myself, giving me a little peek into the future, knowing how to deal with every single situation. It literally got me through those 3 years of my life on the other end. And through that, I began to do readings for other people. Other people were like, wow, you're so accurate. You need to charge for this. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. A year later, started my website. And so, but it all began with me just tapping into that intuition and trusting that there is a power greater than me that wants to see me succeed. And there is. And we have ancestors and spirits and angels and all of that. So I love that, any kind of divination. There's so many different forms. But yes, the regression, I definitely, I do have had past life dreams before. So it's one of those things that's on my bucket list. And Leanne, did you say you guys do them there at Pentagram or no?
Not past life. I have done intuitive past life, but the regression.
I was going to say, I felt like you have that.
Everyone to get it done appropriately, have an experienced hypnotist take you down, and yeah.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It was amazing. Okay.
So, all right, well, it is just about 2:00.
Yes,
I
have a car. I have to get it done before Mercury turns retrograde.
We could just go blah, 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 the whole day long. But I have a jewelry live to get ready for tonight.
Awesome.
So I have to go and start lining that up. I have to start creating, a beautiful little, space for all the beautiful new bling bling. All the witchy bling.
I'm hoping I'll see you tonight, and hoping I can stay awake for the whole thing and not fall asleep with all you lovely people on your live. But
right,
next time we all meet, the harvest would have happened. So
yeah. So we'll see you in August. I mean, I'll talk to you guys in between, but
I'll call you.
We'll see all you lovely people out there in August, and we'll talk about how it all turned out.
Maybe we'll be talking about the same thing because it'll be Mercury retrograde. No, I'm just kidding.
Have a good
tune
one.
in for the next installation of Making Magic, and watch all of our socials to see what that's going to be. And of course, the Psychic Tea is on Instagram, so check out Instagram. Check out Tim SoaringWolf is on all the socials.
All over.
And so, stay up to date on what's coming.
Take care. Bye.
And what you